Hello, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and today is the second project in my Mother's Day card series. I am making a fun floral bouquet using the Lawn Fawn Scalloped box card pop-up dies that I am completely in love with. So to start off with, I am stamping flowers using the Lawn Fawn Fab Flowers stamp set, and this is like a 2-layer flower stamps that are kind of graphic and fairly whimsical. And so I am stamping these solid portions first, obviously. And for that, I'm using different colored inks. And I'm using Gina K Designs inks for that I love the colors of. And since I haven't used these stamps a whole lot, I haven't seasoned them real well. So it does take I think it takes probably 3 presses on the Misty every time to finally get a really solid colored image on each of these. And so I love the Misty for this. It works perfectly for these flowers. I've used them before and it's great. And you can sort of tell that some of the colors adhere quicker than others, like the red went down pretty fast, but the blue takes a little bit longer. And then the second layer of the flowers is a little more adds kind of like little whimsical details. So you can see I've stamped like every stamp in that stamp set now. And for my details, I am going to use a block and a darker shade of ink than the original that I used. I just like to do this with by hand rather than using the Misty. For me, it's quicker to do it this way. And it doesn't matter if I don't get a totally solid image with the little detail layer as much as it does for obviously the base color. So there are lots of little details. Every flower has its own detail to put in the middle, and it really brings a lot of life to these stamps. I think, when you first see them, they look kind of boring, but at least for me. And then after you play with them for a while, I love this floral stamp set. It's so fun, really different. Not realistic at all by any stretch, but really cute and just whimsical and fun. And then you can probably see there's a butterfly there that I also love. It has little details for the wings, and like each of the little flowers has a detail, and the more solid leaves all have details too. And so I did use a couple of colors of Ranger ink for 2 of the darker shades. And so all of the ink colors are listed in the supply list that is linked in the video description if you are interested in any of that. You can get to that very easily just by clicking that link. And then there is a link at the top of the blog post to take you right to the supply list. And now I've die cut them all out with the matching dies, and I'm adding some detailing to them because I'm detail obsessed and I love sparkle and glitter and everything. So I just decided I had to do this first. So I used glossy accents on the yellow and purple flowers, and now I am using Tonic Nouveau drops in Aquatic Mist on the sort of turquoisey colored flowers, teal colored flowers. And then I will use some Sherbet Shimmer here on the pink flowers. Those are also tonic glitter drops. And I break out my Spectrum Noir sparkle marker in clear, of course, because I think I use that on every project to add sparkle to my butterflies. And then for my roses, I'm going to use Tonic Nouveau glitter drops in Ruby Slippers, which is a fabulous red color. Oh yes, and then I'm adding little glitter on my yellow flowers with that Spectrum Noir sparkle marker as well. So I go over all of the sort of detail stamp with the Ruby Slippers. And at first I was a little worried that it was going to be like too dark and look a little crazy, but I wound up loving it, and I did it on all 3 flowers, so really fun. Now here's the structure of the box. The biggest piece, you need to cut 2 of those, and then for your inner tabs, depending on how many you want, you cut the number you want. I cut 3. Now there are also these matching little dies that cut panels that go on, that sort of inset onto the upper part and the lower part of the box. The bigger ones are for the lower parts and the skinnier ones are for the upper part. And you will need 2 each of each kind for the outside, and then you will need 2 of the upper and 1 of the upper for the inside of the box. That gets a little confusing, but hopefully this will make sense as I put it together. So now I am using my bone folder to press the score lines that are vertical on the box to get that all in place and ready to go to put it together. And then I've put some 6mm adhesive tape onto the flaps on the box. And then I'm also going to do this with the inner, I guess I'm calling them tabs. I don't know. What are these things called? Like the sort of the inside that you put all of your fun like scene stuff on within the box. I'm going to call them tabs, inside tabs. So you just stick one side of the box down onto one of the flaps to adhere them together like so. And then you fold it together. And then don't do anything else yet. Now you're going to score, or at least fold the upper portions down, like back and forth. Now you can leave one of the big flaps not folded if you want to use that as like a backdrop for your box, or not. As it turned out, I actually used it as a backdrop and it didn't matter that I had scored it. So good to know. Now I put the flaps in now, and how I do this is I take the adhesive off of one side, line it up with the fold between the upper flaps and the bottom portion of the box, because those have to be straight across, just like there. And then I press the adhesive down to get it into place. And now pull the adhesive off the tabs on that's facing up, and you should pull the adhesive off of the second tab here on the box as well at that portion before you press it down. Because I didn't do that, when I put it together, it did get a little bit off in the front. Like it's a little bit wonky right in the front because I couldn't quite line up that tab correctly. But, you know, it looks fine, and it really is going to work out just fine in the end. But so my advice would be do all of those, that second layer at once when you fold the box over. Now here are these sort of inside pieces. And then here are the outside pieces for the box. Now I do use white on the back side of the box for my greeting. So like I've got a bottom piece that's white, and then I will have a top piece that's white as well. So I can write a greeting on the back of this. Now here are all of my cute little flowers that have dried and are ready to go. So to adhere the stem onto the rose, I've taken a piece of 3mm adhesive tape and run it across the back so I can stick the stem down. And now I'm going to put some 6mm adhesive tape on the top of the rose, and then I will put some Zig 2A glue along the stem, because I'm going to put this piece onto the back panel of the box. So it's going to be adhered all the way down across the back. And to put everything in place on the box, I wind up using a combination of the double-sided adhesive tape and the Zig glue pen. And that worked really, really well for me. Now to start off with, to figure out how I was going to arrange my flowers, I did start with my large flowers first, because those are the ones that were going to like block the most elements, you know, as you looked across the flower arrangement. So I wanted to make sure I had those in place first. So I didn't like say make some cute small element in the back and then wind up blocking it with a big flower. And then I went to my medium elements to kind of add those in. So those were like the yellow flowers and the butterflies. Oh, and I did want to mention that a great thing I have discovered for holding things in place as they dry are little clothespins. They work like a charm. If you've watched my Easter basket card for this with this die set, you know that already. But if this is new for you, those mini clothespins are awesome. To just like clip them to the tab that's in the middle and hold it in place while the glue dries. Now to make things look like they're flying, the best thing to use is plastic packaging. So, you know, fairly heavy duty but clear packaging, and it's free. So what I'm doing is I've cut a strip of the packaging that was off of like a pie top, I think. And I'm going to adhere my butterfly to the top of the little strip of packaging with some double-sided tape, decide where I want it in the box, and then I'll use double-sided tape on the bottom of that strip of packaging to adhere it where I want it on the box. And this is an amazing and perfect way to make things look like they are flying or like floating above your box, because you really don't even notice that clear packaging once it's in place. So there you see my butterfly in place there. And I will do that for the other butterfly, and I also use that on one of the little small pink flowers too, because just to get it up a little bit more. Now I decided that I needed some extra foliage to fill in my floral bouquet. So I used the Elizabeth Craft Designs Leafy Branch 5 from Moda Scrap, and I cut 2 of those using GKD Designs Grass Green cardstock and also some Lawn Fawn paper from the Let's Polka in the Meadow paper pad. So I got those little polka dot ones. Now I just clipped them all apart to make separate like foliage branches, and then I put those in place here and there to kind of fill in where needed in my floral arrangement. And so I always made sure, like looking at it from the front, does it look good? And then I also wanted to look at it from the top and make sure I didn't have any huge empty areas. And that is basically the completed flower arrangement. Now for my greeting, I was dying to use the little banner pieces that come in this die set. So they cut out these tiny little pennants. You can see those, the 2 dies there on the right, and I cut them out of white. And then there is that little black string, and that is cut out with a die as well. So I wrote happy, just Happy, each letter onto one of the pennants. And now I'm just going to adhere it around the black string. You fold it in half and then adhere it around there so that it stays in place. Now I wanted to make sure that I only adhered down the bottom portion so I could still move the pennants on the string if I needed to get the spacing correct. And even though I used double-sided tape here, I did wind up reinforcing that a little bit with the Zig 2A glue pen to just keep them folded down and in place. And then I'm using the Zig to adhere the banner down. And you can see I'm using my clothespins to hold it in place while it dries. And then the Mother's Day came from the Lawn Fawn Happy, Happy, Happy stamp set. And I just stamped that in VersaFine ink on a piece of white cardstock. And I'm just adhering that across the bottom to say Happy Mother's Day. And my final touch was to cut 2 small hearts. There's from the Elizabeth Craft Designs Stitched Hearts dies. I added some Spectrum Noir sparkle marker to the inside of those hearts. And then I've got some double-sided tape on the back, and I'm just going to adhere those into the centers of the floral pattern paper that is from GKD Designs around the sides. I wanted to tone that down a little bit, and I love the idea of the stitched hearts. And that is the completed project. So I realize this is a bit of a long video, but this project is somewhat involved. Although I have to say it is not nearly as hard as the result looks like it is. And I just think whoever gets one of these is going to be like blown away. So if I do say so myself. But I think that's the die set. That is not me. So if you don't have that die, I would highly encourage you to get it. I love it. I paid for it myself. I'm not being paid to advertise it. I just love it so much. And I think it's super versatile. So thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, there is a supply list linked in the video description below and over on my blog. Here are 2 more projects. One is the first Easter card I did, and the second one, Mother's Day card, and the second one is an Easter card that I did using the same die set. You can also follow me on Instagram at blacksheep303. Thanks. Have a great day.